Well, welcome everybody.
Peter, firstly, I would like to say thank you for being a part of the Healing Networks group, which you have been for some time, and you've always been so amazing in sharing the bits and pieces of yourself and your work and the things that you're doing. So firstly, I'd like to say I'm very grateful to have you there. And then it's awesome because that's how we've connected, right? And for those that are not familiar with maybe who you are, where you do, where you're from, share some insights and love on your beautiful self, because what we do is a little similar. But like we've previously discussed too, each and every psychic medium has their own unique way of tapping in and channeling into whoever, whatever is out there of service to us, and vice versa in the universe. So please share with us your style and who and how you connect, and the beautiful way you're able to communicate and channel information for people to help them.
Well, thank you. Yes, we are doing similar things. You know, we are both psychics and energy workers and intuitives, and I'm going through the angelic. I have a unique connection with Archangel Gabriel and all the archangels I can tap into, and I tap into the angelic realm. And it's really about, I'm fully embodying it when I'm in sessions, and I allow them to work through me as well. And it's a beautiful place to be and work, and it's so blissful, and you're in that stream of angelic energy. It's just life-changing for me too. It's like it does invigorate me, it charges me, and it just makes the work so much more pleasant and fun when you see the impact it has on everybody's life. And one thing I do ask for people's permission to energy melt and connect with their higher self, so I feel on my body what they feel. So I tap in and I can feel the emotions. If whatever they're feeling, if it's sadness or if it's pain a certain place, or misalignment in a chakra, or anywhere in their bodies that need to be unblocked, or things need to be removed, any kind of entities or attachment, so forth, or old programming, it could be. It really helps me pinpoint it and then do either psychic surgery or whatever is needed, because it's all unique and different every time, which is another great thing about this job. Is like no day is the same. It's always different. Some are business clients, some are personal, and one thing I learned though is that, I have a lot of business clients also, but it's always come back to half and half pretty much, it always come back to you, like whatever is going wrong or right on the outside, it comes back to the inside, so it's important to get that right. And that's what I help a lot of people, with business clients mostly, and then privately too, of course, to get back on track, like full alignment with your highest self and the highest version of yourself. So you fully operate in that frequency, and when you speak, it's like a symphony. You can just hear in the vibration and the healing words and your unique soul imprint, which is really why people are coming to you. Like you have a unique, platform and voice and energy that people come to see you. And of course you have a project, but and a profession, but they come, etherically or energetically, they feel led to you because you have some, either the answers, or they just, they like that frequency because it reminds them of them and their higher self when they're in full alignment. It helps guide them back to themselves, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And if I just touch base on it, just a brief conversation that we had prior as well, we did talk about that frequency and the alignment and why people are drawn, to different people, healers, work, etc. And that's a beautiful thing, because there's more than enough abundance for everyone to be healed and to heal. Because everyone has different needs at different stages in their lives, and will resonate with different styles of frequency, different vibrations, whether that be in a person or a healing modality at different stages. So it's all win-win for the collective, for everyone to gain healing and to be able to share that.
I love the way you said that, and I remember that conversation, because it's really about, there is no competition. People come for you. Only you can do you know. It's very unique, and we all have our own take and connection, which is very unique, you know. Whatever resonates the most with you and whatever you're channeling, you know, or the way you do things, it's unique to you. So comparing yourself is the worst you can do. You know, I tell people, you know, other people too, you know, it's really about just own it and just know that everything is going to work out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, I'm very interested into knowing how and when and at what stage did you start connecting with archangels, and how did that journey and process unfold for you? Because for everyone it's different, right? For what we go through and how we get to that place and that stage where all of a sudden it becomes an ongoing dialogue with, you know, different realms of spirit. So I'm very interested to know how that came into your reality and how you've been able to utilize now this ability to help people.
Well, early on in my life, I had a lot of, you know, interactions and stuff, but I didn't really grow up in an environment where I had guidance to describe that or to understand it fully. You know, I felt connecting, and I felt ghosts. I felt all kinds of things, you know, spirits, energy, you know, all that stuff. Very open, very empathic, and connected. But slowly, as I was growing older, I closed a lot of those senses off just by programming or society and so forth. And then when I was 21, when I was in a car accident where I cracked my head open and I was in a coma for 10 days, I actually did that journey. I went out of my body. I saw the silver string, you know, and I went to the elevator, experienced the whole thing. And I came back and I, you know, stayed. My mission wasn't over yet. And within a year, or pretty much, or maybe, I think it's maybe a couple of years after the accident, I moved to the United States. I moved to Los Angeles, and it was just totally guided. It's one of those calls, you know, like I couldn't explain to you why, but it was just like there was that calling, you know, like it's geographic triggers kind of thing. You know, like when you travel around the world, you feel like you've been there before. You're supposed to be there, or, you know, it's a part of your mission or your job. At first, I think I had a hard time fitting in there because it was so different from the vibration I came from. But I think that was, I mean, I know that was a part of the journey that it gave me time to adjust and, you know, learn how things work here. You know, it's very different. And then from there on, you know, it unlocked, and I continued my spiritual awakening, so to speak. You know, I took classes, I worked with people myself for a long time for free. It was not till recently, several years ago, that I stepped into that role and do it full time, and just got, I guess, get the confidence too, because it was like, you know, a hobby is one thing, but doing it as a profession, it's a big step. And when I fully committed, you know, then the universe shows up, you know, then client shows up, you know, opportunities shows up, partner shows up, you know, you start mirroring it, and it just all fell into place, and it continues to, you know, it's like it is an ongoing journey, and we continue to up level. And I think that is one of the most important things, and I know you can agree with this because I know you do it too, is that one of the things as a spiritual light worker and helping others is that we have to do it on ourselves. We have to make sure that we are always clear and do the work ourselves, because if we didn't, we would pull our, you know, luggage with us, you know, and expose our clients to that. And that's why we constantly check in with ourselves and clear if anything, you know, needs to be clear, triggers, so forth. So it is a teaching, learning experience, you know, like the law of one, constantly. It's like, you know, you help others, but you help yourself too on your journey by doing the work and then going through it. And of course, there's been many traumatic experiences in my life too that, you know, made me capable of helping others in similar situations now. And I'm sure you can attest to that too. It's like for really to feel how things feel, you know, like you have to go through it, you know, you really have to know what it means and what it's like, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree and can resonate with everything that you're saying. One, especially with the confidence, you know, because without it, you know, and it's a process, it's a journey, isn't it? It takes time, and it takes for spirit to put some things and obstacles and stepping stones and hurdles and whatever it is that you want to call them or label them into your path for you to be able to build that resiliency or develop that innate level of confidence, because a lot of the work is based on that, to be able to step outside, you know, and to start doing it professionally, and to share your experiences and gifts, you know. And then once you do, spirit goes, oh, all right, here we go. And then it's like another level. It's another game of having to, of more obstacle stepping stones, but they're put there so we can identify, learn, grow, and go and shift through that. So then when we're faced with a client or faced with another person, we can read that frequency because it's familiar.
Yeah, and that's one thing I learned too. Like, the more you do it, of course, the better you get. And then there's more and more layers, you know, like you feel even more like energy melting too, you know, like you can feel it down to like who is, you know, in the way or whatever it is, you know, like how do they really feel? Like they say one thing, but that's really not how they feel, you know. And then you like confront it with them and like, then like, yeah, it's true, you know, like, so that helps them, you know, that, you know, honesty, that, you know, helping them to get back to their true self. That there's no mask, there's no, because we have that tendency to lie to ourselves, you know, like make the story better, or like, you know, I want this person cut out of my life, you know, because it was bad for me, da 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 da. And then I go in and I feel it, and I can feel like she still loves him, you know, she really want to be back with him still, and she start crying and like, yes, you're right. And then we start healing that instead of, you know, the other thing. And it's such, I mean, that's impactful on me too. And when people come back to me and like they tell me it was a mini miracle, the person just told me that today actually from a session last week, you know, like how that changed their lives, you know, and how it reconnect them with that part of themselves that they've been either avoiding or afraid of or been shameful about, or self-judgment. You know, we have so many obstacles, and we have such a way of getting in our own way. That we just have to undo that, you know, and reprogram and allow the old version of ourselves to die, and make room for the new one. And when you do, then everything, like you said, it just start, you know, lining up. And, you know, it's we talked about that earlier too, like, you know, business, you know, when you start doing it full time, it brings in another aspect. Now you have to think like a business person too, and you have to learn how to do all this stuff. And that also shows up, and it's just about going with that flow, you know?
100%. I want to go back to that, but I also don't want to miss these questions that you have for you, Peter.
Okay.
So one, Rachel has said, Peter, can you explain what your energy healing and cord cutting sessions are like? How do you do it? Can you tell us how it works?
Was that Rachel asking?
Yeah.
Awesome. I didn't know we had live questions. I love that. That's perfect. Well, hey, Rachel. You know, I start out by asking their permission, you know, to energy melt and, you know, connect with their higher self. And then I scan them. I scan their body. Rachel taught me a lot of her ways of doing this thing. And again, it's like you learn a little bit here, a little bit there, you know, and then you get your own unique way of doing things, you know. So I scan people and I find out the trouble points, you know, so forth. And then I most of the time, it's something in their present reality. It could be a father figure, it could be a mother, it could be a sister, it could be a work relationship, it could be all kinds of things. But usually it shows up physically, you know. So I find if we have a heavy heart, you know, like sorrow or sadness, you know, it stems from somewhere. So then I find the root cause. And then if the throat chakra is all clogged up and blocked, then I cut the cords from that, opening it up, and then go to the next section, you know, the heart, and then go in and heal it, usually with either a rattle or drum first, to break up that vibration. And then I go in deeper, you know, I'd use some hematite stones if needed, or dirt bags, or I have a crystal wand. I got a couple of those that I can do psychic surgery with, go in. And I also bring in the archangels etherically. So if you're in Australia, I have Gabriel or Michael or both of them to be there with you, to be the hands and eyes and do it physically with you and keep in a safe space. It's very unique to work that way, and you just clear it out. And then you scan again, and then I adjust all the chakras usually, spin in the same direction, same speed, and then with a singing ball, bring that pure tone back in. So it feels like afterward it's a full treatment, so to speak. Assessment and release. Any blockages, and then seal it all up afterwards, so to speak. A lot of times it's not the same session because it's very different energies sometimes. Like if I do a psychic session, and I feel that a lot of things need to be removed and stuff, and we have so much to talk about, then that whole session might be about that. And then we do another session for healing, because it's very different energy. Like if you start asking me questions in the middle of the healing, it takes you out of that energy. It's like you don't stay fully in it, So it's important that I, with help from Spirit and the angels, have you in body and work with you, laying down most of the time on your back, and then work with you. And I do that in person too. We have 2 offices, one in San Antonio, one in Santa Monica, which is awesome. It's like, it's just the best job ever. I love it.
I agree. It is the best job ever. We have another question as well, Peter.
Okay.
Amanda Paul. She said, how can you differ from someone who actually has the ability that you have from someone who is, maybe scamming people or with not clear intentions through manipulating people's emotions? So I think what she's asking is, how can you tell the difference between someone who's a genuine, light worker, psychic medium, healer, compared to someone that may be just doing it for not...
It's an excellent question. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not so common anymore, in my opinion, because, if you're not doing it for the right reasons, eventually you will... Either I feel more so than ever that people who were doing that, they are facing their own, dark night of the soul, and they're like, it's not the ethics, they can't pretend to be something they're not. If they're not in alignment with that, it's going to create so much resistance and manifest pain in themselves that more and more that fixes itself. But how, like the question is asked, how can you tell? It's like, follow your feelings, like one thing is that when I work with people, like, when I scan them, I feel what they feel. And I say almost every time, it's like, that is the affirmation they need, because they resonate with that. If I can feel the sadness, I can feel the blockage right here, they're like, yes, you're right. And start crying, like that reaction. And they feel, then they're convinced, like they can tell it's not a fluke, Mm-hmm. And not only that, I'm using the angel and the angel energy, in my work, and a lot of people resonate with that. Really, I mean, people come from that energy on the other side, so they feel very safe. Yeah. And I can do very high vibrational work too. A lot of my clients are very high vibrational. They just got so much going on that they have a hard time maybe fully using that in the physical and low vibrational, because they want to bring that in. So that's also helpful. I have clients when I help them see it through different eyes, and help them how to implement that, and not being afraid of using it, because that's that thing, I'm afraid that people are going to be, not see it in the corporate world or whatever, when the opposite is true a lot of times. Then the more you are you, people got to recognize that, and that's exactly what they want,
Can I add to that, Peter?
Yes.
Amanda. And anyone that's watching that wants to be able to identify, when you go to approach a healer, whether it be psychic, medium, both, whatever the modality, use your intuition and feel, am I drawn and attracted to this person? And if so, why? What are the feelings I'm feeling? Is it positive? Is it light? It's just the way I describe it. It would be the same as if you were to walk into a mechanic, right? Yes. It doesn't matter. The branding could be beautiful. It could be a multi-franchise, national and international business. They might have the right branding, right color scheme, right marketing. But if you walk in there and it doesn't feel right, leave. That's it. There's no difference. It's still a service, no matter what the service is. and you're still dealing with energy and vibration and people. That's all it is. So if you walk in and something feels off, then don't go ahead. Why would you leave your car with someone that you don't trust or don't feel safe with for 3 days to get your car serviced? You wouldn't do that. So the same is as when you're approaching anyone, any service, any business, any person. Feel, trust, and be aware of your emotions too. And just because someone doesn't feel right doesn't mean that they're dodgy or a scam. It's just maybe not a vibrational match. Go find somebody else that you might feel those positive feelings with, or might feel safe with, and that are a little bit more in tune with as well. I say to some people, you know, I hear from some clients, oh, you know, I went to see this person and it wasn't, you know, I didn't feel that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, do you know what? It doesn't mean that they're a scam or that they were not right. You probably just weren't a vibrational match. How were you when you approached the session? Did you go in with an open heart and open mind? You know, some people go to see healers and they're very guarded and closed and, oh, I'm going to make this hard for you to read me. Well, guess what? Spirit and the universe gives us what we're willing to perform. If we're only willing to give halfway, we're only going to receive half too, because love and vibration and energy is it's about giving and receiving. So when you go to see a healer and you're not willing to give and share your energy, it doesn't mean you have to tell your story. You don't need to when you see a psychic medium. You just walk in and you just be present. But if you're willing to be open-hearted and be present, spirit will channel through, the person will be more receptive to your energy, and you'll receive better results. If that,
I love that. Yeah, I want to add to that too, that, you know, a lot of clients come to me, and you too, I know, that they more and more open up themselves to their spiritual gifts, you know. So a lot of times they have a intuition, or they feel like the answer already, you know, but they're not 100% sure. They don't trust themselves enough to, you know, act on it. So they need that confirmation or that affirmation from someone else who does this for a living, you know, and it, you know, it really helps too, because they're in alignment with it. They already made that decision themselves, or, you know, came to that conclusion, so to speak, you know, and it's affirmation on their spiritual journey too, that they are awakening and they are listening and feeling their way, not using that mind, you know, that's going to lie to you most of the time, because it's conditioned on past, you know, circumstances or so forth, you know, programming. It's really about just feeling you. I love the way you put that, like feeling your way there. It's so important.
Yeah.
Feel right. Does it feel right is right for you?
Yeah, exactly. If it feels good, you know, anything that lightens your heart is definitely an indicator that you're closer or on the right path. You know, when you're faced with someone or dealing with someone, if for whatever reasons it doesn't feel right, just don't go ahead. It's simple, you know, or it just means that there are other triggers or filters there that still need to be worked through, and that's probably even more of a reason to maybe just go ahead, just trust. It is about trust, because what we do is not tangible. It provides resonance and evidence. The more information you give, then people go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, how did you get that accurate? Or how did that happen? And it's like, it's because it is what it is. You know, the energy has its own fingerprint. We all walk around with our own auric fingerprint. But it's about just trusting that process, because we can't see it. We can only feel it. We can't hold on to it. It's not tangible. It's not a tangible product. It's just something that requires faith. And yeah, so faith on all parts and in all parties, for all healers and all clients too. You know? I
love the way, again, how you said that. You know, we talk so much the same language, of course, because we're doing the same thing. Is that when we get channel messages or we deliver messages to people, I mean, for me at least, you know, it's so much easier when you don't try to interpret it. Just deliver it exactly the way it comes, you know, because that's exactly how people are ready to hear it that way. Because if you know, manipulate it, or if you change the story to make it sound good or something, it's not going to be delivered in the frequency and in the way it was meant to be, you know. And I learned that early on, that, you know, don't doubt it, just deliver it and tell people, you know, I even if it's hard, you know, I can check in with the higher self if to ask if there's something really deep, you know, if they're ready to hear it. But otherwise, I just tell them, I tell you exactly the way I hear it, you know, that's how I am, you know, that's just my integrity, and it's really the easiest way. just fully alignment and just allow the messages to come through. And it makes it really easy for me too, because you don't second guess yourself, you know?
Yeah.
You're not attached to the message, you know, in any way, shape or form, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. What I find interesting, and I'm not sure, Peter, if you experience this as someone who does the same work, but a lot of the time for myself, it doesn't mean, whatever's coming through actually doesn't mean or make sense to me, because it's not about me and it's not my story. However, when you share whatever it is that's coming through, and if the client can connect the dots too, sometimes, you know, for myself, it'll be like images, pictures. I don't know sometimes because I can't allow my mind to influence or come into the session, because you need to be out of your mind to be able to receive stuff.
Yes, sure.
You know, the more we concentrate and use our logical parts of our brains, the more we filter and distort the information. So it's complete right brain, complete creative space, complete openness. So when it comes through and it just comes out, it really is up to the client to also be present and resonate and feel what it is that's being shared too. So, you know, it's a beautiful process that requires, you know, giving and receiving energy on both parts in order for it to be a successful session too.
And that's what I was saying earlier too, is that, you know, when the more you do it, the better you become at it, because it's really about, you said it so beautifully again, you know, like, you know, that missing piece, you know, they're ready to hear that little deleted piece of their timeline was missing, and you deliver it, you know, and then like it clicks, you know. It really happens like that, you know. It's like, and they break down crying, or they're like, oh my God, I got it now. Yeah. And that's why it's important just to give it just the way it comes, you know.
It's like, I'll share an example with you, one that I found, and I surprise myself all the time too. And I also, whatever beautiful things I need to share, I need that healing and that information as well. You know, it's like spirit gets to kill two birds with one stone. You know, it's like, oh, beautiful. I get to share this message that will benefit both parties, even if it's just a reminder, because we all need reminders too, you know, from time to time. And just an example for anyone that's watching, I was with someone the other day and I just kept seeing the words alchemy, alchemist, alchemy, alchemist, and it didn't mean anything to me. And I'm like, why does this word keep coming and coming? And she said, oh, it's the name of my business, you know. And I was like, oh, beautiful. So I was like, okay, cool. So then everything else that was coming through made sense then. But without that, that's just a word being shared, or that I can hear or see at that time, you know. So sometimes it comes in strong and it paints a beautiful picture, but sometimes spirit just likes to drop little crumbs for me, I find. But it's an interesting process. There was one question as well, Peter, I don't want to lose it.
Okay.
Oh, Brittany says, thank you guys for giving us all the courage to step into your truth. So beautiful, Brittany. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel says again, what do you love about what you do?
You know, the biggest gift I think about what I do is, you know, it is me, and it's me standing in my true self. That is the biggest gift I got out of this, you know, that really aligning with the highest version of myself. So I live in that frequency. I call it zero energy sometimes, but I learned how to bring myself back, you know, because we are living in the human body. So sometimes there is still old triggers, or, you know, systems coming in, and emotions and family members and so forth, you know, all of it, that, you know, when you keep yourself in a space where you feel like you're doing what you came here to do, and you really help other people, you put yourself at service, and everything you do, you really at the bottom of everything, you do it for the whole, you do it for the collective, you know, like what's best for you start thinking that way, you know, how can I be at service? And then everything seems to fall into place, because you're not being self-centered and service, you know, like self-service, you know, like you're not egoistic, you know, like you just, you're in that vibration of love, you know, like, you know, where we come from. And people can feel it in your voice, you know, and of course there's that threshold you have to get through to fully keep yourself there, you know, I feel. And we can still be challenged. It will continue to be, but then we learn to how to deal with that and learn from it, because it means that something came up that we either had to clear or learn from. And again, it's something that we can teach others afterward. It seems to be a pattern, like when we go through something, the general public go through it not long after, or, whenever they're ready, then you have the answer because you went through it, or they're just in a different part of their path, and their, spiritual journey. So it's really, I love doing it because I feel like I am myself more than I ever been before in my life. It's not about being rich or having the right car or having the right friends and all that stuff. No, it's that's all great, and it comes and it goes as needed, and I'm fully supported. But it's really about, like, I'm living in the highest version of myself, and the relationships, the people I connect with, it's soul tribe, or it's people who speak my language or who are ready to hear what I have to say. And that exchange in itself is just like heartwarming, and it just feel like we're all connecting again. And then you see the whole world change in front of you, into the new world, because we're all showing up. We're all aligning to that bigger picture, the people who are ready for that.
Yeah.
And then you allow, if there's somebody that doesn't, fit into that picture anymore, you just allow them to exit or do their thing, no judgment, like everybody's at, whatever lessons they have to learn. You can't fix it for them. You can't pull them with you. You just have to allow to go with that flow.
Yeah.
And that's a big one too, that, I was a fixer before, I feel, and I wanted to help people, fix the problems for them. But at some point, especially when you do what we do, is like, you can't do it for them. They have to be in alignment with it. Yeah. You can point it out and you can help them, but they really have to come to you when they're ready to make the change, when they're really fed up with doing the same thing again and again and again. And they're like, this is not leading anywhere. Like, I need something bigger, and they feel that urge, so they connect with you etherically, energetically, to you, because they feel that you can help them. That you have that answer. And that is the soul family, and it's just the higher multidimensional self that allow us to, connect those ways. Like, people can show up out of nowhere. Like, I felt, in a show I'm doing, I felt you this morning. I don't know why. I never met you before, but I have to see you. Mm-hmm. That happens a lot. It's like, come straight to me, and I'm not, I've seen it before, so I'm like fully open to it, and but it makes me feel good too, like, I feel like that the higher work is happening, people come when they're ready. And yeah. So that was a long answer, but
no, it's good.
Do you want to answer that question too?
Yeah, do you know, I will actually. I think what I love about this the most, about this work and what joy I get from it, I suppose it's a lot of self-healing for me too, to be able to help other people, yeah. I think, as a deep empath and coming from a time, and this is great, because you mentioned earlier about you on your journey not having much guidance. So I'd been there as well, and I think knowing and feeling what it's like to not have that guidance, or to have a safe space where you can communicate freely. For a long time, very young, I wish that people just could tap in and know and understand what it is that I was going through, without me having to go through the practical human way of explaining details. And that's why I love being able to do that, is just to be able to tap into someone's vibration and feel what they're going through, without them having to go through the story and explain it. And for me to be able to just read that and then address it, and then we can go there and create a safe space for someone to release, whether it be in tears, laughter, or share things that, with me confidentially and in a private and safe space where they may not have other people in their life, and have that support network to be able to share those deep, emotions, positive or negative, with other people, as much as we all feel or seem connected, and social media to a degree and a certain level is allowing us to be connected, it's also disconnecting us on an emotional level too, to a degree. But it's all a beautiful, you know, it complements each other, because for what I do, I love doing this because I can connect virtually online with anyone in the world. I don't have to see anyone face to face, and that's a beautiful thing too. So yeah, being able to, you know, tap into someone's vibration on the other side of the world before I've even met them. I've only spoken to them via email, and then be able to have a beautiful dialogue with the universe or spirit or whatever energy and realms that decide to jump in and help at that particular time, and help give me what the information I need for them is amazing, and I love it. And it's nice to be able to provide that safe space for people, because I do know that sometimes we're not all that fortunate to be able to have that. So that's what I love. I don't know if that was a long-winded
No. And it brought something else up that I just thought about, like we didn't really talk about. It's like remote viewing and quantum leaping, you know, all that, you know, doing the remote work. It's just fine-tuning those senses for us too by using them, you know. There's no coincidence there. I feel like I have clients in Australia, Europe, you know, all over Asia, you know, around the world. It's like, it's like you said, you know, there is no, there's a time difference, but, you know, a distance, but we can go there, you know, when we, you know, learn how to tap into those gifts, you know, it's really amazing. We can actually feel how they feel on the other side of the world, and then work with them energetically and help them, you know, release whatever it is that's blocking them, or, you know, it's just such a new way of living that people didn't know existed before. They thought you were crazy. Some people still think you're crazy, but, you know, and no judgment. It's all good. They will come around when they're ready, you know?
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Yeah, that's right. Everything has its timing, and everything has its purpose, and every person and soul is on their own journey, and everyone's evolving at their own pace and own rate, depending on their own experiences and what's happening in their reality. So, you know, everyone gets there eventually, I think.
I think, you know, one helpful thing that most of us, you know, learn to tap into and do automatically is love. Because love, you can't fight love, you know. When you approach a client or a friend or anyone with love, you know, they recognize that frequency, of course, and they, you know, either lag it or it triggers you. It doesn't matter. They still can't fight it, you know, if you just stay in that space, if you don't get triggered or anything, you know, like, and you can heal remotely that way so much, you know, and that's why it really works for me, working with the angels, you know, because they are such a high, loving, unconditional love vibration that I have them work with me, you know, and it's so powerful. I'm in that energy, so I'm, you know, channeling it. It's like when you you're in the hospital bed, you know, and then you fully surrender. It's that kind of feeling, like, you know, you just like allow it to come in, and it's the best feeling ever, you know, like you are just in safe hands and, you know, taken care of, you know, by the angelic and the love frequency, and then we all, you know, want that or resonate with that, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, you mentioned that you have 2 clinics, is that right?
We have 2 offices, one in San Antonio and one in Santa Monica, California.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, we do all these shows. I know next year we're going to do them again. We didn't do that many around the country this year. There's one called BMSC, the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo, around the United States. And we are going to go somewhere international next year too. We haven't decided where yet. We're putting out the feelers. You know, and just take, sorry?
Australia.
You know, it's funny, it keeps coming up. And I suggested it before too, so maybe we'll see. But that's the thing, is like, you know, you go where you're being led. And I learned that throughout my life too, that somehow somebody I connect with and the ticket shows up, everything, you know, like ended up in, you know, South America, you know, wherever it is, there's a geographic trigger, or there's a reason why us light workers have to go there to either, you know, anchor light or whatever it is, you know, there's a purpose. Everything is purposed. And I feel like because we all, you know, establishing this, the ley lines and the crystal grid, we are all positioned, you know, exactly where we're supposed to be. And then if we need to go certain places, we do, you know, and then some are like activators, some are gatekeepers, some are, you know, anchors and healers. We do it all. And we connect. I really love, you know, Facebook and stuff because of that, because I know what you mean when you say sometimes it could be too much too. You have to find a healthy balance there, but it really helps us connect across, you know, the world very easily and unobstructed, you know, and I really love that about it.
Yeah, awesome. Talk to us about your, do you do radio, Peter? Is that right? Or do you do
radio?
Yeah.
I've done many interviews. I don't do it on a regular basis, a certain show. No.
Yeah.
I open, you know, and I have 2 other ones coming up soon. And it's funny, they come like in like package, not packages, but like it's like when I do one, I don't usually do 3 or 4. You know, like it's just happened to come. Now it's time to do some publicity, you know, with that or something, you know, and it's perfect timing, you know. And then there's festivals, you know, you can advertise, and it becomes, you know, of course, a platform, and it's important to, you know, tell people what's going on and, you know, share with the world, and you meet new clients that way. It happens all the time. I've done, you know, We Don't Die interview. I got a lot of clients from that, you know, and then it's like people hear, you know, a podcast or listening in the car or whatever, you know, and then you bring your voice out there, and there's a reason for that, so you can reach more people and you can help more people.
Yeah.
We're ready for that, you know, and because people are awakening across the board, like every day, you know, and then when you start to awake, you can't go back. So then if you don't have any boundaries in place, or if you don't know anything, you start looking, and that's what happens, you know, then you find a teacher or vice versa, you know.
Yeah, I suppose the only reason I asked, okay, so maybe keep that on the pin board, because that might be something that's coming up for you actually, the whole radio thing, but we'll see. I'll be interested to know whether that manifests into your...
It's been suggested, actually. We were invited to do a radio show every week. We kind of didn't follow up on it, me and Rachel together. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, cool.
I don't, you know, yeah, and it could be separate or apart, you know, who knows. Is that something you would like to do?
Potentially, we'll see. I'm open to... I'm so busy, but I'm always open to whatever spirit is willing to bring into my reality to benefit and share the love. Brittany says, yes, please, on the radio or podcast. So funny, very funny. Anything else, Peter, I suppose, that you would love to, any words of wisdom or something that you might want to leave some of our watchers with? Well,
I guess right now in this present time, state of time, I guess, we're in October 2018, and major changes are happening right now in the next couple of months, especially, and it's going to continue, of course, but and a lot of people are either awakening, like we just talked about, and they have all these physical sensations happening, and symptoms, you know. And I feel, you know, it's important that we put that out there, you know, that it's normal, because when people start feeling the ascension flu, then if they don't know any better, then they start manifesting that as the, you know, a virus or flu, you know, when in, you know, reality, it's really about your body is adjusting to a higher frequency and then fully assembling it into your, you know, vibrational system, your light body. So the more you can embrace that and just like, no, I'm actually being worked on right now, I'm upgrading, then the energy is so much different. You are accepting it, you're allowing it to happen, you're not resisting it, because that's going to burn you out energetically, you know. And the more, I know you don't do this already, but it's like, you know, if people are tired or hungry, you know, listen to those signs. It's so important, and there's so much knowledge, like from people like us, you know, out there, about, it could be pain, it could be headaches, it could be whatever it is. But just be open to that, because that's what's happening. The whole, you know, humanity is changing, and there's so many of us doing what we're doing now because humanity need the guides. So there's a reason why we became the first responders, you know, or what do you want to call it, you know, first wavers, the second waves, the third waves, you know, like it will be like that. It's like the bell curve, you know. Eventually everybody is going to be doing it, and then going to be fully awake. Before it hits like the very, most stubborn people who just don't want to change at the end, and then they will change too. And then we fully start living in that fully new world, and our kids growing up, which they're already coming from a high vibration, but that whole change of everything, the belief systems and everything is going to change, governments, money systems, all of it. And people are going to be shocked, seeing UFOs, seeing, star families, aliens, whatever you want to call it, we're all aliens. So
that's true.
So it's like just opening our mind and then trust that everything will be okay. Because when you tap into love, you can't fight that,
Yeah. And I really loved what you said there. Be mindful of what's happening to you physically, whether it be headaches, things as such. Yes, we are physical beings, but we are physical, and we're energy vibrating at a level that is allowing us to appear to be solid. So what that means realistically is that there's always going to be a reason or an attachment, an energy blockage, which we would call spiritual. It's a spiritual resonance that's causing these sorts of things. So be mindful and always ask yourself, where is this coming from? What am I not addressing, or what am I not aware to? And it's okay. We're not here to work things out on our own all the time. So see someone. Okay.
That's the thing. When people get ready for it, they will learn that it all comes back to themselves. At first we look for all the answers on the outside, or start blaming the outside, or trying to change the outside, whatever, But you little by little, you start learning that it reflects something inside of you that needs to be addressed or released. It could be karmic energy from family line. It could be from your childhood, from past lives.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at it like that, again, it's just similar to the ascension process. Like, when you embrace that, what do you call it, evolution or whatever, like when it happens, the timeline, embrace it instead of resisting it, then it just becomes a totally different energy, and then you work with it. You surrender to it, and you go with the flow. Mm-hmm. Like nature doesn't fight, it just grows. Mm-hmm. It doesn't resist. It doesn't, it doesn't make a big problem out of everything. When we learn how to come back to that, and fully just go with that flow as much as we can, without any judgment and not being hard on ourselves. When we do fall back in, this happens. We get triggered or something, but just get back on the horse and okay, I see that I, got triggered, but that, again, was something I needed to work on. It was not somebody else who had to change. It's me. The way I perceive it, the way I, look at it, really, Mm-hmm. Because then you're outside of it and you're observing it. You're not in it, and you're not blind. Like you're seeing the bigger picture, and then you're like, oh my God, it's not that big of a deal. Like, and it releases you. It just releases you from that burden. Responsibility.
Yeah, and it is a process for people, to get to that point where it's that path of least resistance, and just allowing. And to be open, energetically, to allow whatever's happening happen, and to see it from a bird's eye point of view, from a bigger picture, to see the bigger picture and to see how everything is actually quite relevant to wherever that soul needs to ascend to on that person's journey, to give people some insight. We hear, I hear all the time oh, why would this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? But when you're able to look through energetic timelines for that person, whether it be past, present, future, and get the download and the information, you're like, oh, well, that has to happen because next few steps, these are going to happen. This is going to happen. And for you to be able to be ready for that, you've actually got to go through a little bit of crap now, what we perceive as crap, which, it's so easy to get stuck in the story because we perceive it as this terrible thing that's happening, but it's actually a stepping stone.
I tell a lot of people that, clients too, teach them how to flip that coin, flip that experience, like you feel that like deep sting or trigger, when you learn how to flip that energy, and then take ownership of it, then you can change it into something beautiful. And not long after you've been doing that for a couple of times, it totally disappears. That trigger doesn't exist anymore because you changed it from something deep and sad or painful into something beautiful. When you learn how to step into that instead of flip that energy, flip the coin.
Yeah.
Consciously, like you said, a boundary. Like, I'm not okay with that. That's not who I am anymore. No, so you take charge of it and you just flip it, and you feel the power, of being able to create your own reality.
Yes.
And change that old programming.
Actually, I have something I wanted to ask you, actually. Do you find, Peter, that a lot of light workers or psychic mediums come from backgrounds of trauma?
Yes, I feel that is a major dominator. And we talked about that earlier too. I feel like it's not a given, but it's like it's really prepared us to do what we do. We in the physical world, if it was a past lifetime, it wouldn't be the same as if we did it in this lifetime. It could be sexual abuse, it could be whatever it is. It really is about when you know deep down how that feels, then you can really relate and you can navigate somebody safely through it, and you can understand what they're feeling, like the depth of it. That's really the key.
Yeah.
We can tap in as energy workers and psychics, and we can see the whole picture and we can feel the way they feel it. But I do feel that there's no coincidence why that happened. It was just preparing us to where we are now before we got fully awakened and activated. It really, you can say forcefully, or it was just planned that way. It allowed us to open up, to truly feel, being vulnerable and heal it too, like first being closed off and then open it up again, because that's usually what happened. Like you block whatever trauma you had, and then you learn how to remove that, and that's how we help others, by seeing it and feeling it, and then giving them the tools to do it themselves, because they have to be in alignment with it, but they just a lot of times don't know how to.
Yeah, beautiful, awesome. Peter, thank you so much. It's been amazing chatting to you and having you share yourself and your work and your journey. And it's so I'm so grateful to be able to connect with another light worker that's on the same vibration too. So thank you so much. And I know that we will keep in touch, and we will definitely talk again. If you could just share one last thing. I feel like there's just so much good stuff in there for you to share. If you could just share one, if it's a saying or quote or something, just to trigger some awareness and inspiration in those that are watching, what would you share?
My favorite quote right now lately has been, expect all things to work out for you. If you fully align with that, and you really start taking it to heart and really just know there's a higher power, your higher self is working through you, and then, the angels are supporting you. You can't do anything wrong. Really, the more we can align with that, instead of having that fear mentality that, oh, something's going to go wrong, this is going to go wrong. Just fully expect everything to work out for you, but not necessarily the way you expect it to. You focus on the why, not the how. Then the universe have a million ways to show up and deliver that to you.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. I do want to just mention my website too, how people can get in touch with me. I know you're going to put it on the bottom, but you can find me at www.channelingarchangel.com, my website, and of course on Facebook too. And that's how we connected too, and the healing networks and the Nation. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. Kim Ballestad kind of brought us together. Actually, I really love that. And that is another part of our journey, is that we collectively help each other. And you mentioned that in the start, and it's so important. Helping each other, help yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Peter. We'll talk again soon. And,
yes, thank you.
And I've definitely shared your links there for anyone that's watching this video. So anyone that wants to reach out to Peter and connect with him and to experience his beautiful gifts and healing abilities, obviously, just like you said, channelingarchangel.com and channeling Archangel at Facebook. So awesome. Thank you so much, Peter. We'll talk soon.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.